This is the Business Storytelling Show, a top global marketing podcast listened to in more than 100 countries, live streamed on social media, and broadcast on DBTV. Christoph Trappe chats with industry leaders to help your company tell better business stories. Here's today's episode.
Hey, business storytellers. How's everyone doing? Episode 668. And you might notice on LinkedIn it says 669. The reason it is one earlier because the episode earlier this week had so many technical issues. What do you do when you have technical issues on the live stream? Call it a day, do it next week. But you can't update the headline on LinkedIn because then that whole live stream is going to go bananas. But anyway, let's talk about making some money. Why not, right? How do you make money on your website? One way actually is to renovate it. Sometimes you might sell it to people like Matt Roth and his website. He's joining me today. His website, ebusinessinstitute.com. .au. There it is at the bottom. If you're not watching on the video channels, you can certainly also see that in the show notes. But Matt and his wife, they've been buying websites, and then they renovate them, and then they make even more money than what those websites were making before. How do you do that? How does it work? Let's find out. Matt is in Australia, so we're on completely different days. I have to make the obligatory "how does the future look" joke. Of course, we got that out of the way. And Matt, nice to see you.
Awesome, Christoph. Thanks so much for having me here.
Really appreciate you coming on the show. So kind of tell me about renovating websites. I mean, updating websites, certainly that's a thing, finding new ways to drive revenue through websites. Certainly people do that. But what is the difference when it comes to renovating a website?
I guess it's like renovating real estate. You know how people buy and flip real estate, or they renovate them and hold for the cash flow? We do the same sort of thing with websites. So basically we buy smart. We're trying to buy, what's the real estate saying? The worst house in the best street. So ones with renovation opportunities, and then we renovate them and we hold them for cash flows, or we can flip them and sell them. And so we've been doing that since 2008. And the way we learned it, Christoph, is this is what we used to do with bricks and mortar businesses. That's actually my wife and my background. We owned and bought manufacturing or wholesale import businesses, and we realized, we can do this online. When the internet came along, as long as we can figure out the technical side, we found it a lot easier to do it online.
Yeah, it certainly is a lot easier. You don't have to get dirty, right? Flipping a house, you have to go out there, and you don't have to go anywhere. I work at home now. I got my little home studio set up here, and every time I have to go to a meeting, I'm thinking, oh my God, like I saw the banker the other day, and I was like, oh, what an effort. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to get up and you have to go there. You have to go through traffic and you have to be there on time. Crazy.
You have to commute.
Right. Flipping a website certainly does sound easier in theory, but I'm sure if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Right.
That's right.
So how do you find the, whatever you call it, the ugliest house on the best street? How do you know which website to even work with?
That's the fun part, like hunting around looking for the deals. But the real answer, you hit the nail on the head. There's more to it than it. It sounds easy, but there is a few key things you need to learn. And the number one thing is, how to do due diligence on websites when you're looking at buying them. So just like doing due diligence on a business, or if you're buying commercial property, you don't want to go in blind. But also that part of that due diligence process is the market research. So you need to understand how websites work and how they make money, so that you can understand the renovation opportunities that are there. And then we try and keep it simple though. Like we literally, we teach a lot of beginners how to do this. And one of the things we're passionate about is teaching beginners how to do it, because when we first started, of course, we made lots of mistakes, and we've learned and refined our process over the years of how we do it. And so what we do, we have a set process of what we're looking for in these websites in terms of traffic and renovation opportunities. We look at things like the niche they're in. And then basically what we do, when we've got a search pattern, we can either buy these websites through brokers, so like real estate agents or like business brokers, or the equivalent of that. There's lots of brokers for online businesses now. or we do what we call private approach, which is our favorite one, which is sifting through the Google search, doing Googling niches that we know really well. And we look for, we call them fallen angels, like little sites that have been neglected, that are sitting way down in the Google SERPs. And when you look over the site, you can see the owner hasn't done much with them over the last year or so. And if they fit our criteria, then we might approach them privately, like send them an email or something like that. And that's worked extraordinarily well for us over the years. That's how we used to buy bricks and mortar businesses as well.
You just kind of stop by, like sending an email is
Yep.
basically stop and buy a bricks and mortar business. So,
Yep.
like what kind of businesses actually, what kind of websites work well? So I'm thinking, my podcast, it's always listed with Heather Osgood. Haven't found a buyer yet because like we just haven't agreed on anything. But like
Yep.
it's listed with her, right? So like if somebody's interested, bring your best offer, we'll talk about it. But every once in a while, people will say, "Hey, how about your website?" I'm like, "My website is christophtrappe.com. Like, how can you possibly
Yeah.
use it?" Do you know what I mean? So, like,
Yep.
certainly you're not going to buy christophtrappe.com. This is not a subtle pitch or anything like that. But like some sites are better than others, right? Like the personal, even if they're successful, I assume they're not going to work for this kind of thing, or do they?
No, that's right. You've got to be, there's certain criteria that we look for. So there's lots of websites out there and there's lots of businesses, that have really good online presences, or websites as well. You can buy old business websites, but we don't want things that have got, too heavily branded to an individual, because they're not going to come across with the business. We're looking for simple. It's like with the real estate idea. We don't want to be rebuilding the whole house, and doing all the like masses of renovations. We want something that is fundamentally good, like it's solid, but we do makeovers, and then we can step on the accelerator with it. If it turns into a bit of a winner for us, then we might invest a lot more into the site. But it's a really good question. People always say, "What sort of sites are you buying?" And they just presume it's e-commerce sites. But we actually, that's the one category of sites that we don't buy, because of our background in manufacturing, wholesale import. When we did that for many years. And as young entrepreneurs, it always held us back, having to reinvest all our money back into inventory in those businesses. So when we discovered, you'll love this, Christoph, because I know you're a big fan of it. When we got online, we discovered the beauty of content sites. So basically, sites that have ads on them or affiliate offers, in essence. And ideally, what we're looking for is sites within that have assets that are unrealized or uncapitalized on, like a list or maybe a social following that we can build up. But realistically, and this is what we recommend anyone listening to this, if you're a beginner to this and want to look at it, we've found over the years the easiest sites to buy and renovate are content sites. And I know there's lots of changes with AI and all that sort of thing, but they're still the easiest ones to start to learn on. And then you can get a bit more complex with it, in that there's lots of models out there. Like we love buying lead gen sites that can potentially generate leads for local businesses. That is very lucrative. These are all kind of semi-passive, whereas e-commerce there's a lot of moving parts to an e-commerce website. So we don't recommend those.
It's interesting. So one story that came to mind is, so I have brands sending me stuff, right? And I don't remember what the video even, the video was like the free product or something. That's how they wanted to pay me. And my rule is, if I come to a brand, I might take a free product because I really want the product. But if a brand comes to me, 100% it's not going to be for free, right? I don't even know them. Like, I don't, whatever. So we did a video on that, and my daughter and I, and somebody commented, "Well, you could just go turn around and resell the product." And I'm like, "But that's literally not my model. My model is to create content and have affiliate links, right? So I want to make money through the affiliate links. I don't want to ship anything. I don't want to go to the post office. I don't want anything to do with that." So you give me the thumbs up. Tell me more.
Well, I'll give you triple thumbs up, because there's no risk for you. So if you're listening, is what Christoph is saying is definitely what we recommend, because the opposite, if you were to, like you said, Christoph, in that instance, if like that person saying, well, you could just sell the product, there's massive risk with that because you could get stuck with a warehouse full of that product. Been there, done that. With our bricks and mortar businesses, that's what used to happen, and it sucks up capital in a business. Whereas what Christoph is talking about, where you just, if you think it's a good product, why wouldn't you just get an affiliate commission for it? This day and age, you don't have to. You don't have to leave home to do that. You don't have to invest any money into the product. It's just sending an affiliate link over to that product. If it sells, it's good. And you might get 5%, you might get 10%. Some commissions we get are up to 40 or 50% if it's on services. That's way easier than us delivering the end product. And it also means we're not dealing with the end client, which we love. And a lot of our clients love that as well. Like our students love that as well, in that that's the side of this business that is actually quite passive. So our job is to get that traffic. And then, like you said, Christoph, is recommend certain products or services. We get an affiliate commission for doing that. And then that's the end of it for us. There's no delivery costs or anything like that. So it's a very, very simple business model. Of course, the devil's in the detail. There's work to make that work. But in terms of a business plan, when we discovered this many years ago and we realized this was available, there's some massive advantages too. Not only do we not have to commute, but we've got access now to a worldwide market. So we used to export with our manufacturing business to America, which is really challenging for us from Australia. It's the tyranny of distance type thing. And there's all these blockages, borders, there's paperwork and stuff like that. Literally, we can set up a website or buy a website, and within the next, 24 hours, we can be selling into America. Most of our sites are American-based, .coms. So there's no geographic barriers, and they work 24/7. And we don't have to keep investing money into physical inventory, which I do want to reiterate, there's complexities to that. So we have friends that have big businesses, 7- and 8-figure e-commerce businesses, but they're quite advanced. So I'm not saying you can't make money out of e-commerce. We're saying go the easy way if you want to start this. And we love the ads and affiliate methodology. It's very, very simple model to understand. So then you've just got to focus on buying the right websites and building that tribe. In this day and age, it's all about being in the right niche and having a following.
Yeah, and the other thing when it comes to affiliate marketing, not to go down this path too far, but sometimes I have affiliate links and I don't even make a recommendation. I just say, I did an article on stand-up desks, right? And I said, here's all the different types of stand-up desks. I didn't even say which one is better or which one is great, which one is horrible. I just says, here are the different types. And then I have an affiliate link to those desks, right? So it's something to think about. You don't even have to do that sometimes. So the one thing when you have a content site, I know all of us content creators, sometimes we just fall in love with our site. And if you come to me, and I know we already agreed that you don't want ChristophTrappe.com, but let's say it's not called ChristophTrappe.com, it's called something else, and you like it. And then you come to me, how common is it that a creator like me goes, well, but my content is worth $4 million. I don't know, like some outrageous number.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot, and that's just the nature of what we do. You don't get every deal across the line. We make lots of approaches. What we're looking for is people there are a lot of people online that start websites. This is where the big opportunity is, right? People start what we call passion sites. So it might be they're into learning how to play guitar or learning golf, and they want to teach people, and they start these sites and they work away at them for 5 years, but they don't really know what they're doing. Or they might just start, say, a food blog or a travel blog. That's the classic one, because they're traveling around the US in their RV. So they blog about it. They hope they can make a bit of money somehow off it, but they don't have a real plan. And what happens is over 5 years, of course, let's say that's the ideal time, if they're not making much money, they get bored with it. So they're just happy to sell it pretty cheaply. They kind of take, you turn up and say, I'll give you a couple of grand, a couple of $1,000s for that website. Or so we just had a really good example is really good client of ours. She's traveling around Australia in her caravan. So in America, that's called RVing. Here, they're called grey nomads. She's retired. She's on a private Facebook group, someone said, I've done all my traveling around in a caravan. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've got a website. Does anyone want to buy it off me? And not a single person in that face group knew the value of it, but Annette did. And she got that site for $5,000. And what she's done is got corporate sponsorship with 4-wheel drive type ads on there off some local, here in Australia, some 4-wheel drive companies. And now that site makes her $4,000 a month. And she's just keeping it going as a travel blog. So that's the goal, is finding these sites where, not the ones where people, like you said, Christoph, where they have an inflated idea of the value of it. So in that case, though, there is ways we can negotiate that, because what we do is we educate those people and say, look, I'm sorry, it's not quite worth $4 million. Here's how websites are normally valued. They're valued on a 3 times the net profit. And, we're happy to pay that, but we need to look at a few things first, and people, but if people are overinflated with their prices, we just move on to the next deal. There's so many websites out there. It doesn't matter what niche you're in. You don't even have to be an expert in the niche. Ideally, you're passionate about it though, like you've got an idea, but there are just so many websites available. It's like homes, there's a lot of houses available as well. It's about picking the right, having a plan, having a search pattern, staying in your lane, and then finding the underutilized assets that you can add more monetization to.
I suppose it's a little bit too about like the behavior of the people, right? So if you look at my behavior online, I mean, anybody would be hard pressed to even go, oh, he wants to tell his website. It's completely like, I mean, I update the thing like twice a day, right? I'm totally invested in it. I'm totally moving things forward. Same with the podcast, you can just watch when I'm on here. Like, I enjoy these conversations. I always learn something myself. The networking is awesome. So if somebody comes to me with a lowball offer on my podcast, I'm going to be like, I don't think so. But if it's the right number, I might. Now, when you decide to renovate a website, like what are some of the top things you have to do? I mean, is it like technical stuff? People don't have the right H's, not enough H1. You know what I mean? Like, what are the key things that are usually broken?
So that's normally people, especially when you're a beginner, understandably, that's normally people's assumption and biggest fear is, hey, I'm not technical and we've got to do technical fix-ups. That's only a small part of it, and the good thing is with technical fix-up, yes, you will probably need to do technical fix-up on a site that's been kind of left alone for a few years. But the good news is that's actually relatively easy to do. You can just hire someone off a place like Upwork.com. There's heaps of techies. They're dime a dozen. That stuff's pretty easy to fix up for a good techie and very cheap. What the main renovations that we do is in the strategy of how the site is monetized, what are the conversions like on the site, and then the traffic, like getting all those things together. So we have 3 key areas that we target when we want to do our initial big reno on a site that we've bought. And we call it the 30-30-30 rule. You just you want to get each of these 3 key areas improved by 30%, and that generally doubles the value or the revenues of a website. And that is 30% if we can improve the profits of the site by 30%, if we can get the conversions up by 30%, and if we can get the traffic up by 30%. There's 3 kind of major levers there that we can play with. So most people just focus on trying to get either the profit up or the traffic, or even just the profit. And that's pretty easy to get the profit up because you can just add in new monetization. You can get corporate sponsors if it's a big enough site. But there's lots of different opportunities there. But what we teach is how you're leaving money on the table. How are the conversions on the website? And like, first of all, we need to look at what is it selling or what's it offering? How does it work? And is there better ways that we can monetize it? And then can we get those conversions up? And we only need to get them up 30% over a 6 to 12 month period. But in particular, can we get the traffic up? Because traffic these days is worth so much money now, especially in this day and age of AI. And if you just work on those 3 areas, when you do the numbers, that every time it doubles the website, doubles the value and doubles your revenues.
Just so interesting. So when it comes to AI, let's talk about that maybe for a couple minutes here. AI certainly has changed my workflow already. I mean, I use it for even the podcast, right? Sound bites and all kinds of other things. But in SEO, I mean, I actually did a test. One article ranked number one, and it was showing up as like the summary in Google in Google AI or whatever it's called. That's not the right term. I can't believe my phone rang. Like, when was the last time my phone rang? Why is it not?
I know.
Like, unbelievable. What year is this?
Yeah.
My apologies. But what's the impact of AI when it comes to website traffic? And, so my test was, I hadn't seen the impact yet, even though the article was literally just being summarized on Google AI. But I assume there's going to be changes probably down the road, but who knows? You tell me.
Absolutely. So our opinion is, so there's been a bit of turmoil in the last 6 months. So we're here in mid-2024 now as we record this. The good news is what we're seeing is, if you're smart, there's actually massive opportunities out of this because of AI. One thing that's becoming really apparent, particularly in SEO, well, the whole search engine environment is changing quite rapidly, but the value, I just said it before too, the value of real traffic and real following. So I guess you'd call it, finding your tribe. So like you, Christoph, this is why you're so successful, is because of your personal branding. You've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube channel, you're constantly out there. You're featured in a lot of places. I was looking at your bio and your about page, all those awards you've won. Not only do people notice that, but the Google bots notice that as well. And that's building this. We call it, I used to call it the SEO footprint. We've been teaching this for many years, by the way. But now I think what we need to call it is, it's just the content footprint that's out there in the internet. It's not just in Google, but it's across social media channels and all sorts of things. So what that means is, it looks scary at first, but it's actually not. What you're going to find, I think what will drop out of all of this are real passion sites, like sites where people are literally, let's say like Annette, who's traveling around Australia in their caravan. Now, that can't be replicated by AI. It can be assisted by AI. She can use AI to help her write the articles. That's all fine. But it's still, if I'm going to go traveling around Australia as well when I retire, I want to learn off someone like Annette. I don't want to learn off an AI bot. I want to see the real places that she's been. I want to see the RV parks. I want to see, how did they reverse up there? How did they reverse their caravan in that really little remote caravan park? Could they get their caravan through the creek or the river? What sort of things are there? And we see this across every niche. And so we recommend people look at buying sites in what we call passion niches, where people are either learning how to make money, get healthy, be happy, or they're building a community of some kind, like a following or something like that. And we think those are very safe for the future, and they're actually about to become even more valuable. So there's a lot of, when you think about it, there's a lot of assets sitting out there that people have kind of done good foundational work, and they're ready to take advantage of the future of what's coming with AI. But real traffic is and real followings, if you've got that and you're listening to this, you're probably sitting on a very valuable asset for the future. So I'd say, Christoph, for your site, even though you're saying you couldn't sell it because of your personal brand, I don't know about that. I've seen personal branded sites like yours, even then when they're built around an individual, sell for really good money. We're talking 7 figures and stuff because of exactly what I'm talking about. It's got a real following. So big corporates now are buying up those sites, and they'll bring in someone and they'll use your name.
Yeah. Awesome. Matt, really appreciate you coming on the show. People can connect with you, ebusinessinstitute.com. .au. Really appreciate you coming on the show, and thanks for tuning in from the future. Haha, dad joke.
Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review the Business Storytelling Show on your favorite podcast platform, and subscribe so you don't miss the next